From deep in the heart of Texas, it's On Second Thought, powered by Hook'em.com. Hosted since 2016 by your favorite sports columnists, Cedric Golden of the Austin American-Statesman and Kirk Bohls of the Houston Chronicle. Let's do it, fellas.
This is On Second Thought, brought to you by Hook'em.com. Cedric Golden here with the Doug Kirk Bohls. Doug, this is a great day on our show because we get Chris Doering, the host of SEC This Morning and SEC Now. He and Peter Burns are the Laurel and Hardy of ESPN. Must watch, making bets, talking noise to each other. It's what college football should be about. Chris, how are you today, sir?
I'm good, man. It's good to be on with you guys. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the kind words, man. We have a lot of fun. I think a lot of times people ask me, do you guys really dislike each other as much as it sounds? We're actually friends, but, I can't listen to a guy that's never played the game that tries to act like he knows everything about football. So that's where I always ask him what his login is to Catapult to watch the All-22, and that shuts him up anytime he has a football opinion.
Oh, my God.
It's must-watch TV, that's for sure. So
thank you.
No shortage of stuff to talk about in SEC this year. I mean, it's hard to know what to make out of it, first of all. But before we dive into the Texas game, who do you have as the best team in the SEC right now, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, we do the power rankings every week. We do like an immediate reaction on Saturday night on Football Final, and then we put one out that Benjamin and I and Dari and Alyssa do for the SEC network or the SEC, SEC.com. It's one of those things. Power rankings are done in a lot of different ways. In my way, I try to base what I've seen on the field and not projecting too much. So based on what I've seen on the field, I have Ole Miss at 1 and Alabama at 2. Watching what Alabama did to Georgia on the road the other night was impressive. But Ole Miss with 3 wins in the league already and looking like a well-rounded team, not a team that just throws the ball like some of Lane's past teams. I mean, Kewan Lacey's been tremendous running the football. The defense was impressive in the game plan Pete Golding put together to stop LSU the other night. So I got them 1, but Alabama a close second behind them.
How fluid is your list from week to week? Because I know Kirk Bohls is an Associated Press voter, and he's had to move like 6 times in the last 8 months because his list is so fluid. How fluid is yours?
I mean, I had Oklahoma at 1, and once John Mateer's the injury came out, and I moved them down a little bit. Yeah, they were on the decline, but yeah, I mean, I think I don't know about how you guys feel, but this even as we turn the calendar into October, I feel like I still don't know a lot about a lot of teams. Some of it has to do with the schedule of who teams have played. Others has been the inconsistency from week to week. Others were just kind of waiting to see still. So it really is it's a weird dynamic that I do think requires a lot of fluidity as it relates to the power rankings that we do every week.
Yeah, I think Missouri may be the biggest mystery team, although they look good and Bo Prabula looks awesome. Looks like James Franklin may have picked the wrong quarterback. I don't know, but you're right. Aggies look pretty good. I don't know if they're legit yet or not.
Yeah, I like. I think what impresses me about teams, just as I talked about with Ole Miss, are teams that have the ability to win in a number of different ways. We saw A&M go on the road and beat Notre Dame, scoring a ton of points, and then we saw them play great defense against a limited offense there on Saturday against Auburn. But I'm with you on Missouri. Not only Prabula, I love Ahmad Hardy. I think Ahmad Hardy's a guy that you need to start talking about in that Heisman race with what he does in that outside zone scheme that they utilize there. I think Diego Pavia is another guy that deserves to be talking about in Heisman Trophy conversations. This will be a big week for him, obviously, going to Tuscaloosa. But, yeah, I think there are a lot of teams that we're not used to seeing near the top of the power rankings. And it's interesting that Texas, Georgia, Alabama, all one loss this early in the season. It really has kind of defined what we expect from teams. The days, and Sark said it, the days of going undefeated as a national champion are over, particularly in this league.
Well, the Longhorns meet Florida at the Swamp, and that's been a house of horrors for the Manning family. And the old man was lucky enough to not have to play them, but Eli went 2-0, but Peyton never beat the Gators. And you had a little bit to do with that. You and
Yeah.
Coach Spurrier in the mid 90s. I got to ask, how fun was it to play for Steve Spurrier? And is
Mhm.
college football missing those kind of personalities? Lane Kiffin does his best. I love Lane
Yeah.
Kiffin. I don't care what
Yeah.
anybody says. I love Lane Kiffin. He's strange. I love that. But is college football in the need of more of those types of personalities to keep this thing fun?
I think so. I mean, everybody couldn't wait for Coach to go to SEC Media Days, not knowing what he was going to say. I think there was just an honesty about the way that he addressed the media when it came to talking about his team or opponents. You still see him doing it now. I know he probably upset some Texas fans a couple weeks back with what he said about Arch and not being able to beat out Quinn Ewers last year. But I think there are characters that we miss in this league. Lane does. I think Eli Drinkwitz is a good
Oh
character with this
yes,
Yeah.
league
I
in terms of
agree.
what he
I
does
agree.
too. So I'd like to see a little bit more. The folks here in Gainesville are a little upset that the current coach on the sideline doesn't have any emotion on the side during games, and so yeah, I think there's a balance between being too out there and being too vanilla.
Yeah, I still miss Mike Leach every day.
Yeah,
So he
yeah,
made it fun.
he was good for a good story and a good quote for sure.
Chris, did
I
you
know.
know? Chris, did you know that Mike Leach didn't have voicemail? He didn't.
I'm not surprised by that. I mean, us be honest. Like Gene Chizik, when he came to work with us at the SEC Network, he didn't know how to operate emails. His idea of email was asking his assistant to print it out, put it on his
Oh
desk.
my
He'd reply on it with pen, and then she would go reply via email like the rest of us do. So he's come a long way in terms of his use of technology.
we would get like we call Leach and leave a message for him.
No
Um,
message.
we wouldn't leave
Leave-
a message. It would just be a missed call, and it's like no voicemail is set up for this caller. Then at like
Yeah,
1 a.m., you get a call. Hey, this is Mike Leach. Did you need to talk to me? And who is this? I mean, it happened to both of us at least twice, and we
yeah.
we mourn him daily.
Oh, there's no question. Miss the guy so much, and it is funny the quirkiness of certain coaches. Coach Spurrier, going back to him, he doesn't text. So if you want to get in touch with him, you do have to call
Oh
him.
wow.
But yeah, methods of communication for some of these guys are important in terms of getting in touch with them for sure.
Well, let's get right to it. Should the Horns be on upset alert, Chris?
I don't know about how you guys feel. I'm mad at Florida's offense. I'm mad at Texas's offense. I'm mad at Arch. I'm mad at DJ. Like this was supposed to be this massive matchup here, and
Yeah.
highly anticipated one in Gainesville, and the luster is certainly lost off of it with the way that Florida particularly has struggled here recently. But this is a game, I think that a lot of fans have been pointing to for a long time. Getting Texas to come to Gainesville means a lot to this fan. I live in Gainesville, and you can still feel the excitement, despite maybe not being as big a game. But I do think Texas should be on upset alert. I do think that it's going to be a hostile environment. Not that Texas doesn't play in front of crowds like this, but it's a unique setup. I don't know how many times you guys have been here, but the stands.
Never.
It's right on top of the players. It goes straight up. The noise is loud, so. But I think it's also a situation where they're going to be facing a pretty damn good defense in terms of what Ron Roberts' group has put out there on the field. I'm frustrated for Florida's defense just as I am for Texas's defense because I think they've done a lot to help keep these two teams in games. They kept them in the Ohio State game early in the season, and the offense just couldn't generate enough. And that's kind of been the story of the Florida season right now is that they've done everything they possibly could, but just can't get any sort of real production from the offense so far.
We follow DJ Lagway. I'm from East Texas, and DJ Lagway is from Willis, Texas. And Willis, Texas produced Michael Bishop, who was a key figure in the turnaround at K-State.
Yeah.
And DJ Lagway was getting Michael Bishop type hype coming out of Willis. What's the problem with DJ? Is it too much too soon? Or is it a case of this being a social media era where these recruiting services hype up these guys way more than they should, even before they play one down of football?
I don't think it's too much too soon because, as you know, he comes from a great family. They've managed expectations extremely well. They could not have been more thankful to Graham Mertz in terms of what he did to put his arm around DJ when he got here and help mentor him. I had a chance to interview both of those guys together last summer. And the way their relationship was such a cool dynamic, a 6-year guy a freshman coming in, and the way that they interacted with one another was awesome. But I think you asked me what's wrong with DJ. One, he missed a ton of time in the offseason. And I think as much as people tried to minimize, what that was going to do to his development, he was still a young guy, missed all of spring practice, missed some of OTAs, missed the start of fall camp. You just can't make up for that time. So you're watching him try to bang the rust off of his offseason during the season in front of everybody else. And I think it's hard. It's unfair. The bar was set really high by the way he played in the final 5 games of the season last year. But I don't think he's healthy. I'll be honest with you. He doesn't look healthy to me. The play calls indicate to me that he's not healthy. They're not throwing the ball down the field at all. That was one thing he did really well last year. I know defenses are trying to take that away, but you at least got to try to stretch the field. That Miami game was tough to watch, just with all the little throws around the line of scrimmage. The defenses were just bunching up, and there was no real running room, and there's no threat to try to throw the ball over anybody's head.
Yeah, we're wondering if we might see a 10-7 game on Saturday. We hope not, but
God, no, please no.
It's possible.
The Vegas line, the over-under's at 41.5. I don't remember a total that low in college football by anybody not named Iowa in a long time.
I might take the under. I don't know.
Yeah, no doubt.
When you look at Arch, Chris, I mean, do you see anything mechanical? I know Cedric and I discuss this like on a daily basis, and part of us think he's just trying so hard to be a Manning. And, he's only had 6 starts. And I don't know if you see anything mechanical, or do you think it's almost all mental and putting too much pressure on himself?
I think there's some of that. I think there's some of that in both, his case and DJ's case. But I also think, you go back to the Ohio State game, it felt like watching Arch, he was hearing footsteps or feeling ghosts around him or something. That third down throw, I think, on the shallow cross that he missed badly, just fading away from it.
Right.
I watched DJ do the same. DJ fades away all the time. And I don't know if this is the Patrick Mahomes effect or what, but it seems like everybody wants to be fancy instead of stepping up in there and delivering it, make the easy throws. I mean, we watched that in basketball forever, is that people, they don't know how to shoot the free throw anymore, but they can shoot the 3-point shot or they want to. So I wish that quarterbacks would, just get sound and throw in the football from the pocket, take the easy throws, and then go from there. But I think hearing footsteps, you go back and look so far this season, when Texas's O-line protects him, Arch's completion percentage goes way up. I think what differentiates good quarterbacks from the elite quarterbacks is their ability to fire, to process under, when you got duress around you, when you got colors flying around. Tom Brady was tremendous at that, because he could hyper-focus in that moment. And I think right now Arch is seeing too much instead of being able to really drill down, especially when there's guys flying around his legs.
Well, I know this past week you released a list of your top 5 receiving duos in the SEC, and there's some big names: Mario Craver and Concepcion at A&M, Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams of Alabama, Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton of Auburn, Chris Barrazel and Braylon Staley of Tennessee, and Deion Burks and that so tricky Isaiah Sertania at Oklahoma. So tricky.
And
I so respect it. Stop it. I'm sorry. I'm here for that.
That's
The
wrong.
refs have a job. And if you don't do your job, it ain't cheating. It ain't cheating if you don't get caught.
But as Chris said on his show, and I totally agree with it, it was in the OU playbook, so you got to start out from that, right?
That's a high risk, like a 15-yard penalty when you're at the 22-yard line there in such a tight, low-scoring game. I guess maybe he didn't consider the fact that they'd get caught, but that seems pretty high risk to reward ratio there. But I think there are a lot. You go into you start going into trios too. I mean, you look at Alabama's trio, throw Isaiah Horton in the mix. I mean, that group is really good. I think Georgia has a bunch of good receivers. Texas, Wingo to me has been a bit of a disappointment. Maybe it's the expectation level that we have for them, but he and Cam Coleman, Coleman, some of it has to do with the offense and the fact that they don't have anybody that can get the ball to him. He looked better, obviously, in that game against Oklahoma, but it's frustrating to see Wingo and the tools it has and the inconsistency in catching the football. I have maybe it's because I didn't have the speed that a lot of these guys have, but I have a hard time.
You had to catch.
Yeah, you got to catch the football, man. That's what receivers do, is receive the football. So I don't have a lot of patience for drop balls.
Well, the guys you were playing with, if you dropped a couple, you're going to be over sweeping up.
The competitiveness, like my senior year, the top five were me, Riddell Anthony, Ike Hilliard, Jacquez Green, and Travis McGriff. So there was a lot of
That is
competitiveness between
stupid.
that
Oh my
group.
God.
Yeah.
I'll say,
God.
really.
And you were the All-American. And you're the All-American.
Yeah, my senior year, I was second team All-American that year. I think it was I want to say it was golly, who was it? The Ohio State receiver that passed away a couple years ago.
David Boston.
No. The other one, golly, I can't believe I'm going blank on this one. It played for the Cowboys towards the end of the season. Remember Parcells called him a her or whatever, and it was a big.
Come on, say it.
Terry Glenn.
Terry Glenn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Terry Glenn.
Yeah. Terry
Exactly.
Glenn.
That guy was good. Terry Glenn was really good.
No, there was some good. That draft, when you go back and look at that 96 draft that I came out with, man, that group of receivers may be the all-time best top to bottom group in the history of the NFL draft.
Do you think Billy Napier's already doomed, or can he somehow salvage this?
I think he's already doomed for a couple reasons. One, we've been here, done this last year, and you're back in the same situation again. So even if they go on a run, who's to say you're not back in the same situation? But two, I think his own stubbornness is probably going to ultimately cost him. Like the part of what I heard was that the vote of confidence came last year with the idea that he was going to hand over play calling duty. That didn't happen. That they win 5 straight games, and he feels like he deserved the right to retain play calling duties. The general disorganization, the penalties because of too many men on the field or not having enough men on the field or delay of game, it clearly needs more attention. It's not like you're lighting it up, with 50 points a game on offense either. So you guys know this. Having a coordinator to fire is maybe the best insulation that a head coach under duress can have.
Exactly.
And when you're the play caller and the head coach, it doesn't leave a whole lot of fat to cut off.
No wiggle room. And the other thing too, it's interesting. The whole dynamics with transfer portal has changed when you fire a coach, because do you play 4 games and then guys that haven't redshirted want to sit out the rest of the year so they can transfer?
Yeah.
Well, is there anything to be gained by firing a coach this early like Arkansas did?
I don't think there is, to be honest with you. I mean, I think one of the other things that helped Billy Napier last year was that who were you going to pass the interim job to? I mean, it's pretty clear in Arkansas that Petrino, he's done the job before. It's easy to hand the job to him now on the interim basis. But like on Florida's current staff, I don't know that there's a whole lot of guys that you would say, hey, I want to give this job up to now. Fans are frustrated, and I think, does it matter? Because you can't go out and really hire anybody else that you'd want until the season's over. So, I think there's a balance between doing what you feel like you need to do and not letting things linger, because it could get really bad. And I've already wondered how much capitulation there is in that locker room. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, with the transfer portal opening for 30 days, as soon as you fire a coach, like, is there really any upside to doing it as early as what Arkansas chose to do?
Isn't that weird too? I mean, it's open for 30 days, but you can't change schools, can you?
Yeah, you put your name in there, you can't leave necessarily, and
Right.
So I don't know what
You get demoted. You just sit there and stew for 30 days when the coach glared at you.
Yeah, exactly,
scout
man.
Exactly.
It's a different dynamic for sure these days.
Yeah, I gotta ask you, Bobby Petrino. I mean, that ain't no interim. How many interim coaches fired 3 guys right after they begin named interim? Interim guys like, okay, guys, I'm just trying to fit in, and hopefully, if things work out, I get the job. Don't you think it's Petrino's job for sure?
I don't know that for sure. We had this discussion the other day, and my aforementioned co-host Peter Burns said, hey, he's got to go 5-2. I don't think it has anything to do with a record. I think it has to do with how a team looks, the organization, how hard they play. That defense, I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch it the other day. It was abysmal in the first half, man. 42 points, 420 yards allowed. I think it was 10 explosive pass plays of 15 yards or more allowed. like they looked like they had very little interest in being out there. They were not assignment sound, not disciplined at all. I go back and look at what could have been, man. If you don't fumble the football against Ole Miss, if you play a lick of defense against Memphis in the fourth quarter, if you don't fumble the ball down around the goal line, like that could have been the first loss of the season to Notre Dame. And you know, regardless of how the defense looks in that one, you're not going to fire a coach that's sitting at 3-1 or 4-1, whatever it was. So it is an interesting dynamic, but coming in and firing, I mean, it certainly got everybody's attention. I don't know if it's creating a whole lot of friends on the locker room or the defensive side, but it definitely created some waves out there for sure.
I'm kind of like you. It may not be a matter of record, but he plays A&M and Texas. If he could win one of those, or obviously both, and excite the fan base, he's got a much better chance.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of fans that lament ever having to get rid of him the first time, and those were some great Arkansas teams.
They were.
Back then when he was there. I mean, it was pretty much Alabama and then Arkansas in the West, and so you wonder what could have happened. He had it rolling there, and they had some great quarterbacks and receiver play. So, I think there's a longing for some of the big boosters to get back to those days again.
Sure. Well, after what Hunter Yurchek said, can't win a championship there. I mean, they need something to give them a spark.
Isn't that crazy, though? I mean, you guys are in a place that has some pretty good, boosters with some deep pockets. But, like, Arkansas, outside of Texas, the state of Texas, like Arkansas, between – what they have with the Walmart family and the Tyson family, I mean, and Jerry Jones. I mean, I don't know why you shouldn't be able to fund everything you need and then some when it comes to allocating money to player recruiting.
One thing I've heard is they put their names on buildings more than they give it to NIL. So they're different. They're two different types of boosters nowadays.
Well, it depends on nowadays.
Won a championship.
I was going to say, if you want to win, if it matters to you, I have a hard time believing Jerry Jones doesn't want to necessarily. But although he didn't really pay his own players, so that caused him to lose some.
Too soon. It's still hurt.
Hey, you guys, I don't know if you're Cowboy fans or not, but like my boy Brian Schottenheimer, that was a teammate of mine in Florida. I'm cheering. I never was a Cowboys fan, but I'm cheering hard for the Cowboys this year.
Great guy. Great guy. Yeah. Hey, I wanted to ask you one more question. I know we need to let you go about Sark. Where do you see him and the whole play calling thing? I've said and written that he may be one of the best play callers in college football, but I think between the 20s, he's obviously had red zone difficulties. We saw at Ohio State, obviously in the Cotton Bowl. I don't know if is it too much for a head coach to be the play caller?
I still think, I think Sark's an elite play caller in college football right now. He would definitely be in my probably top 3. I don't know exactly who's calling plays at Ole Miss, whether it's Lane or Charlie Weiss Jr. or a combination, but I still think he's pretty involved there. So Lane and Sark are amongst the best, in my opinion. I played for a guy, Coach Spurrier, that was elite in terms of play calling, and he would do it, from the sideline. He had a better anticipation for what anybody was doing on defense than I've ever been around. But yeah, the game's changed a lot since I was at Florida in the mid-'90s. The responsibilities of a head coach in the SEC particularly are immense. You're pulled in a lot of different directions. We're seeing, Clark Lee on the defensive side decide to give up, his play calling duties. And that was even after the defense was markedly better than the year before last season.
Did Eli give his up?
No, Eli did. Yeah. Did you see the record? I think in the first 3 years, he was 17-19 as the play caller. Right. And then since then, I want to say he's 26-5 since giving up the play calling duties to Kirby Moore. So I don't know if it's a result of him being able to manage the big picture stuff or they picked the right one in Kirby Moore or the combination of the two, but it's clearly worked well in Missouri.
Yeah, it's a fun year. I tell you what, like you said, I don't think anybody's going undefeated. Nobody's getting out of this alive. But
you saw it last year. I mean, even down the stretch, the pressure that mounts on teams that are in the playoff discussion, watching Ole Miss lose at the end of the year here in Gainesville, watching LSU lose late, like we're gonna have a lot of teams involved in some really important games. I think that's the thing. Everybody's worried about the devaluation of the regular season when we expanded the playoff field. It's done the opposite. It's created more teams that are involved with bigger games throughout the second half of the season. I'm excited for us inevitably to get to the 16 number 2. I think it's going to be great.
And that's what I overlooked. The end of the season, those are elimination games going into the playoff. Yeah. So the playoff starts before the playoff.
Yeah,
I
I'd go
think
to
it's great.
16. I'd go to 16 and no buys because those are just too big.
I'm with you, man. I love the home games. I had a chance to cover the Tennessee Ohio State game up in Columbus last year. That was
Right.
awesome. I think having a chance to host those games are great. But this is playing in this league, and you guys are aware of this. The margin for error is very slim, and you look at Georgia. Georgia very easily could be 0-2 right now, if not for
Yeah.
a missed field goal at the end of regulation in Knoxville. But you look at the rest of their schedule; they don't have a whole lot of missteps. I'm not sure. 10-2 will get you in. 9-3 could be in the mix, but you don't want to leave that to chance.
You really don't.
Well, Chris, man, we appreciate it so much.
It's
Thanks,
been
thanks for
fun.
dropping
No,
in, and
thanks for having me.
we will continue to watch you on SEC this morning, SEC Now, SEC Final. Just enter SEC and Chris Doering, and you will
Yeah,
find some video, and it's going to be entertaining. Thank you so much for joining us, brother.
yeah. Thanks for having me, man. Look forward to having all the Longhorn fans here in Gainesville this weekend too, man. I hope you guys have a great weekend.
Thank you,
You too.
Chris.